There we go. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Lead Gen Challenge check-in week. We are getting, oh, you know what? I have the wrong PowerPoint up. Hold on.
I was going to say, I think we're past week 6.
We are. We definitely are. All right, there we go. That looks better. All right, so we will go ahead and get started for this week. We are getting really close to the end of the challenge. We only have a few weeks left. So congrats everyone for making it this far. It is not easy. And Scott talks about that in the book for sure. Like, it is not normal, or like most people are not able to stick with doing an hour of lead gen a day for 61 days. Or even every other day. A lot of people don't make it to the end. So give yourself some kudos, pat on the back today for making it this far. Oh, here's Nicole. And we will go ahead and for the Facebook group contest, Nicole, I just checked the group. Did you have someone, do we have a winner for this week? Otherwise, I can take a look at it and announce it later in the Facebook group page. You're on mute.
I think you have to unmute me.
Oh, well, you're unmuted now.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. So sorry, it muted me as soon as I came in. There's a couple people I had in mind who are nice and interactive, so I will take a look at that really quick and we can circle back.
Okay, sounds great. So we will move through to wins and challenges for the week. I just threw that in the chat. Does anyone want to be a brave soul and share a cool win or challenge that they had for this week?
Does it have to be lead gen related?
No, sure, go ahead, share.
The biggest one I can think of, which, well, I did get a referral from some lead gen, but I think that was my win last week. But I'm finally cleared to close on the listing side with a very, very, very challenging transaction that I really thought was not going to close. So that's my big win this week.
That's always a good feeling for sure. Those tricky ones that you're able to get across the line. That's awesome. Congrats. Good win for the week.
Thank you.
I think we can go ahead and share. Nicole and I have found that some of our broker partners who are core brokers have really been showing up, and some of our key brokers as well have really been showing up this past week or so. So for those of you who don't know, which I think all of you on this call are aware, but True Homes, we have what we call a core broker program. So basically we try to create relationships with you all so that you bring us your clients that are qualified. We reward you with things like Amazon gift cards for every appointment that you have, $1,000 design studio credits for your clients that build, invitations to special events and things like that. And so we have really been trying to connect with those agents more in the past couple of weeks, and we've definitely had an uptick in our leads that are coming in, and being able to show them different products and things like that. So I would say that's me and Nicole's win for the week. As far as
I agree. And a lot of it comes out of stuff that we've learned here, like getting back to the basics of stuff, and then coming back to this and just implementing some of this stuff in the way that we have those relationships has literally just turned into more business.
If no one else wants to share, that actually rolls really well into our topic for this week. So here we go. So the chapter in the book that came out for today. It's today, right? Is it
I think so,
37?
Yeah, it's today.
So you might not have looked at it yet, but the topic for today is know your audience. So high level, basically what Scott talks about in this chapter is knowing where your leads are coming from and what vertical you're tackling. So this can look a little different when you're on the mortgage side versus what, you know, me and Nicole do versus what you all do. But one example, or a couple of examples that I thought of when rereading this chapter was, if you're an agent who specifically likes to work with a certain type of clientele, maybe you really like working with, you know, active adult and really know a lot about those communities, or you are really, really good at working with military and relocation, or military relocation firms and companies and things like that. So finding out who your lead gen partners and referral partners are so that you can tackle that group or that vertical or that area or whatever the case may be. Another, like my other example that I thought of when reading this is I have an agent who she used to be in financial planning, and then she in the past few years transitioned into real estate as well. But what she does is she kind of has her own little lead gen program basically that she does. And because she used to be a financial advisor, she helps some of her, or she helps give financial assistance to small businesses. And when she works with you, I believe like you get a discount or something like that for bringing her a qualified real estate referral. So she's kind of working two different things. She's working with clients who have small businesses and of course are working with them for their real estate needs. And maybe that could look like a lot of different things. That could look like a personal residence. Maybe they need an investment property. Maybe they need a lease for their business location. And then she asked those clients, okay, since we're working together already, who do you know that I can work with on the real estate side? So that's a really cool way that she's kind of created this referral lead source, if you will, from her clients, from her small business financial assistance. So things like that are really great ideas. And once you find your niche, that is a way that you can continue to get these leads and focus on who your audience is.
And your niche doesn't have to be, I mean, these are fantastic examples from Ariel of where people have found their place in their business, but your niche doesn't necessarily have to be something overt like that. Like when Ariel and I are moving around different neighborhoods, of course, we have our core people that we can help everywhere. And so that helps us. But when we're trying to figure out who are we going to target next, there's a bunch of reports that we pull, like who's selling in our submarkets, who's selling in our price points. So when you're looking at stuff like, for example, Melissa gave me a really good tip about mailers, right? So I'll let her talk about that in a second, but you can narrow down your audience, and it is okay to have an ideal price point, an ideal time frame, and an ideal location. Doesn't mean you won't help people outside of that, right? It doesn't mean you're steering people towards that. It just means that's what you're prospecting for, and that's your audience. So knowing that audience that you are prospecting for is huge, because what if you're spending all your time prospecting for sub $200,000 leads in how you're getting your leads, but then you're really struggling to find them stuff. And it's not that they don't need help too, but why spend all your time marketing to something that's going to take a lot of time to close, right? So that's another way that you can kind of find your audience, whether that's literally in everything you do or down to social media. This is really important also for social media, knowing who your audience is, who you're targeting. The second half of what he talks about, right, that we'll all get into, is targeting them for a year, that consistency. But before we do, Melissa, Alex, do you guys want to share anything about knowing your audience and specifically about the tip you gave me about the mailers?
Yeah, so I'll talk about the mailers in a second, but something to consider. There is a book I read early in my career called Book Yourself Solid. It's by Michael Port, I believe is his last name. In that book, he talks about actually sitting down and when I say what I'm about to say, you're going to feel like you're going to go to real estate jail, but trust me for a second. In that book, he talks about sitting down and writing out what is your ideal client. It's a married couple with 2 kids.
Their home. It's whatever the case may be, that is what he talks about. And he helps you go through the steps to figure out what that looks like for you. So I recommend everybody absolutely go buy the book, download it on Audible, go find it online, Book Yourself Solid. It walks you through the entire process to help you identify who your ideal client is. And what you guys may decide is your ideal client is completely different than what Alex might decide, or I might decide, or the girls with True might decide. You go through that process. I don't know if you guys have all read about or heard that book, but it's a fantastic book. And then what Nicole's talking about, if you are considering doing mailers through the post office, you can do what's called Everyday Direct Mail. EDDM is the website. And you can go narrow down specific areas, and it will tell you there are 300 residents in that mailer group, and their average income is $70,000, and their average 3 people per house. And it's done for you. Now all you have to do is print your marketing piece, put it together, and send it. It's called Everyday Direct Mail. Alex, do you have anything?
I got about 50% of that. There were a bunch of power lines, so you're cutting in and out, so I'm not entirely sure what you said, but I agree with 100% of it.
That's a good partner, guys, right there.
You missed when I offered to make her lunch earlier and she shut me down.
Okay, so let's move into the consistency piece, right? The target them for a year. So Ariel and I have been with True now for a few years. I've been with True for 4 this year, and General Brokerage 2 years before that. Melissa and Alex have been in the business for a while. Ariel was previously with a builder before she came to True. We've really seen this play out, I think all of us, in every facet of our business, because we've been doing it long enough, where if you're continually targeting the same people for over a year, that's when it starts to pay off. It doesn't mean, oh, well, it's not going to work if I don't do it for a year, so I just won't do it, because then you're never going to get that consistency and it's never going to pay off for you. And you're going to have to do this in some facet of your business, right? There's sense to targeting an audience. So after about a year, people are used to hearing from you about whatever. It could be different topics every single time, but they're used to hearing from you in this realm, in this business realm. And then all of a sudden you'll start to see that people start coming back around, whether it's clients who didn't talk to you for the whole year, but then they come back in a year and they're like, okay, we're ready to buy. Thank you for being in my inbox every week or every month. Or if it's referral partners or past clients or whatever that is, that seems to be that magic mark of when they start coming back because of the consistency of your marketing to them for over a year. Now, getting really nuanced, I think that we could all speak to the fact that once you start hitting year 2 or 3, I mean, that's where you're taking off in really good referral partner relationships. That's where your past clients, if they've heard from you consistently for the last 2 to 3 years, you are going to be the one that they call when they go to sell that house versus those agents who never follow up. And then they go with whoever when they go to sell their house. So that's just high level kind of what he's talking about in today's chapter with the targeting them for over a year, but I'll let the girls kind of go into more details on that too.
So something you guys might want to think about when he talks about know your audience and target that audience for a year. He's being, in the book, he's talking more like, I want to work with VA borrowers. For the next year, I'm going to focus on VA borrowers, and I'm not going to give up in 30 days because I haven't picked up a VA borrower. I'm going to do that entire year of doing a social media piece, doing a marketing piece, reaching out and going to networking events specifically to that particular borrower. So for you all, if you wanted to become a VA specialist in your area, or you wanted to become a luxury specialist, or you wanted to become the dog lady, pick your thing, the dog, you know, whatever it may be. And for the next year, everything you do is making sure to get in front of that group of people. We all tend to get discouraged real quickly and go, okay, well, I've been doing it for a couple of days and it's not working yet. I haven't seen any results, and back off. That's where you start losing traction. So what he's really talking about is know your audience and stick with it for a year. Don't decide today I'm luxury lady and tomorrow I'm VA lady. No, I'm a luxury lady for the next year.
Love that. I think that's really good insight. And I think that knowing that you're going to commit to this for a long period of time makes you more strategic when you're figuring out what you're going to target. So would you commit to this for a year?
I think that's really the key about this piece, is just the strategy behind it and not getting distracted and trying to do too much and burning yourself out. And so I think the next kind of piece to this is like, okay, so how do I decide who my target audience is? Like, who am I going to go after? Well, the way that I would look at it is you can kind of take it one of two ways. You can either focus on what your buyer clients look like, or you could look at what like a referral partner looks like. So you can take it one of two ways. And then think about where your sphere of influence is coming from. If, like Melissa said, you've got 4 dogs and you're always at the dog park and you're always doing dog events, like maybe that is just an easy one to think of that makes sense for you. It just has to make sense for you and be something that you want to commit to. If it's a lead gen partner that you're trying to focus on, maybe it's maybe you were a financial advisor in the past, and so you know a lot of CPAs and attorneys and people like that. Well, maybe pick one of those verticals and really focus on that. Find the top 50 CPAs in your area and focus on getting referral business from them, and make sure obviously it's going to be a reciprocal relationship, but maybe that's the way you go about it. So I think one of the biggest things I think when you're in real estate is making sure that you're marketing yourself and people know you for a certain thing. It's not just, hey, I'm Ariel, I'm in real estate. No, hey, I'm Ariel, I work for True Homes and I'm really good at semi-custom builds. Well, what semi-custom can I do for your client? You know, it can be as specific as that. And like Nicole said, you know, you're very specific on your target audience, but you'll pick up extra business along the way. You know, I'm not just going to sell semi-custom to every single client. I've got other products too, but maybe that's the one that I feel like I'm really good at, or I know really well, or that's where my sphere of influence lies.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that also one of the things that Scott talks about in a different chapter, they all kind of build on each other, even though you don't have to have read the one before, they all help each other out. One of the ones he talks about is maybe don't go for the top 10 people in that thing, whatever that thing is. When me and Ariel are looking for broker partners, of course we would love to partner with somebody who has a team that does, 35 million in a quarter. Awesome. But we know realistically everybody else is trying to as well, right? So you guys who are either just starting out in a moderate amount of business, maybe you're doing a lot of business and you're just trying to figure out how to make sure that it keeps coming, and that's why you're in this lead gen challenge group. Whatever, you guys are our target, right? You're that group that's going to be growing, and we want to grow with you, right? But we also are going to be realistic in knowing that like our impact to you is going to, because you don't have a bunch of people chasing after you just for what you can give them, right? So thinking about that as well, like, oh, it is the CPAs, but maybe I go for the CPAs who don't hear from everybody all the time. They're going to really appreciate it when I do reach out to them.
It's funny that you say that, Nicole. There's a coach in the mortgage industry who I don't love, but one of the things I learned from him early on is to identify the whales, the tunas, and the minnows, and go pick one whale, pick 4 or 5 mid-size, and pick, 10 up and coming small fish, and grow the 10, harvest the 5, and hopefully one day you'll get the whale. But don't spend all your time on a whale, because the whale can fire you and there goes your entire business.
Yeah, don't be the old dude with Moby Dick. Don't do that.
No.
Does anybody have, before I move on to asking if people have questions, Alex, Melissa, Ariel, is there anything else you wanted to share on this topic? We thought this was a really good one, a really important one. That's why we wanted to make it a whole topic.
I will share with you guys that, I got into the mortgage side of this business in 2006, and I fell into first-time home buyers. And if you call a closing attorney, or you reach out to somebody who's been in the industry for a while who knows me, they will all tell you that I can do the complicated deals and I can help the first-time home buyers like nobody else. I accidentally fell into that market, mostly because I didn't know any better, and I thought, well, I'm young, so I'll focus on that, and they'll turn into move-up buyers, which most of them have. But I have become labeled as the loan officer who can do the hard deals that nobody else can do, to the point it's a joke at our operations team. What is Melissa going to give us today? What craziness has Melissa come up with? So when you are trying to figure out what you want your target to be, what you want your audience to be, what do you want to be known for, understand that 20 years later, it could absolutely be what you are still known for, and it's really hard to shake it. It's really hard to shake it. So be strategic about your choice.
This should not be what leads your business, but it happens. I have red curly hair. I will never be able to change that. Like, I can't. People don't recognize me otherwise. So, I mean, if my hair's up in a bun, half the time people don't recognize me because all they see is big, red, curly hair. And so, sometimes you have your things that you accidentally fall into.
Look, I can't get rid of my last name. I kept my ex-husband's last name because Mrs. Mortgage works. I can't be, if I took my husband's last name now, I'd be MERP Mortgage, and MRP Mortgage does not work.
So what you're telling me is I should grow my hair out?
No, I was noticing that fresh cut with that nice line right there as she's pushing that Range Rover. I was like, what? That's an awesome video of Alex just for entertainment.
Glad we're recording this one. I just stuck my tongue out at you. That's cute.
Yep.
I'm gonna go back to not showing my face.
All right, so with that in mind, does anyone have any questions or any comments that they'd like to share on this topic or anything else with the challenge?
Yeah, if you want help flushing this kind of stuff out, that's why we're here. Nobody? Okay, well, let me ask this question. Does anybody know what their audience is? Listen, I'll start calling you out by name. I will do this. Guy, I see you unmuted. Are you going to say something?
Wow, I was going to say something. More than a chicken no. Well, I think as someone who's still under 3 years and working on my 3rd year, I'm still finding my perfect audience, but I have found that I do well with relocators and first-time home buyers. So that's what my lead gen has been, really honing in on my neighborhood, because I'm still finishing out a lease at an apartment complex. And I've gotten 2 buyer consults in the past 2 weeks just from engaging with the community wall in the neighborhood. And that's working out really well for me so far.
if that becomes more of your thing, a really good way to do it strategically is you could call Melissa and Alex and ask them to run payment scenarios with you on different areas and price points that you know that these people might be interested in, and compare that to the rent that they're currently paying. And it doesn't always 100% translate that just because somebody is paying that in rent that they can be qualified for that in a mortgage, but it's a good baseline. You know,
Well,
you wouldn't want to.
I know that in this neighborhood, most of the time, and these people are, couples, so I know, they could be sharing a 1-bedroom, but minimum, they're already spending at least $1,800, probably more.
That's perfect versus going to an apartment somewhere where they're paying $1,300 a month and trying to say, oh, well, you could buy over here for $2,500 a month. That's a different conversation, right?
Yeah.
I love that. Megan was going to say something.
I was going to say something. Good morning, ladies. So our team is kind of affiliated with a builder. So I would say that a lot of our clients are first-time home buyers. So I do like that niche a lot, but it's funny because this topic really speaks to my heart right now, because I am trying to go in a little different direction and bridge my previous career experience with my new career. And I worked in the senior living industry for 19 years. And so I really want to kind of branch out and start working with seniors. And I am in the process right now of trying to meet with different investor partners, different senior living industry people, and social media coordinators so that I can try to rebrand and figure out how to kind of focus on a little bit different niche.
But I love that you're thinking about something that you did before. I went to school to be a teacher. If you couldn't tell, right? Like, this is all I ever do. It's just seminars and stuff, but it works, right? Because that's genuine to me. And you have that experience. Well, I love the fact that like what you're gaining from this is not only like this topic, but like who you're identifying who your good referral partners are. And to your point, like if you're focused on finding a solution for somebody, and sometimes that's going to be a referral to your referral partner. If you have the right partner, they're going to be doing the same thing. They're going to be out there looking for their opportunities. And when that doesn't work for somebody, you're going to be the first person that they think of. That's the whole point of having good referral partner relationships.
I think a really interesting thing to mention based on Megan, your scenario as well, is like, okay, what if you're in Megan's situation where you've been known or you've been targeting one audience for so long, but now you want to transition into something else? How do you make that transition? How do you make that move? And I think she's done a really good job of reaching out to the contacts that she needs and trying to make herself an expert in that field. And obviously her past experience is going to help with that as well. But like, why 100% leave the first-time home buyers, in your instance, your old referral or your old leads behind? Like, if you want to focus on, the aging in place community, your first-time home buyers have parents and grandparents that I'm sure want to be, near them, or maybe they need to be in a newer house, or they're relocating, or whatever the case may be. Like, your old niche, if you want to call it that, could also be a really good lead source for your new one.
And you're absolutely correct on that, because again, it's kind of that sandwich generation too, where they're starting to, and the millennials and the Gen Xers, I mean, they're starting to have to kind of think about things that they need to prepare for their parents. So I totally agree.
Anyone else want to share? Thank you, Megan. That was really insightful.
Yeah. It's just the timing of this topic was really, really what I needed.
For sure. Well, we're glad that you were here for it.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Otherwise, we will go ahead and wrap up for today. If anyone does want to stay a little after and chat about anything, feel free to stay on the call. Otherwise, we hope you all have a terrific week. Hit the phones hard, and we look forward to seeing you next week.